In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the current conditions and diving into the upcoming modeled guidance. We need to take a look at that because we do have some potential snowfall in the Northeast and potentially the Mid-Atlantic here coming up for the late portion of February and the early portion of March. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt. I know you guys hate hearing that so much, but this year has been very interesting with the models kind of showing things in the long range and then really fizzling away over time. That has been the theme this winter, so you can't really know when for sure it's going to happen or not happen, because one of these times it could possibly just not fizzle away. So we can't take it as not going to happen when the models do show it. We have to treat it as a possibility, and that's what we're going to do today. As you can see, we have some showery activity happening across the deeper kind of southwest regions here, the southern four corner states, even into states like Texas. Here we have some light to moderate rainfall taking place. There is some spotty snowfall showers here, as you can see, throughout kind of the Mountain West. Definitely throughout the Cascades, Northern Rockies, and then kind of your plains just to the east of those Rockies. Now, as we take a look here at the northeast and the southwest of Canada, we tell there is some sort of low here overhead, and this is creating some snowfall on the northern end of things and some rainfall showers here on the southern end of things. Certainly some interesting activity there. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is move on, take a look at that modeled guidance, because there is a lot to go over today. Now, here we are taking a look at our European model. This will be the first model we take a look at today, and then we're going to move into the GFS in just a little bit here. So let's take a look at this. First things first, we're moving through with this, and we can see that there is some snowfall still happening by the time we're reaching later on in the day, tomorrow even. So we're going to see this just continue here for a little while. Here we see there is a low here over kind of British Columbia, and this is causing some snowfall up and down the Rockies in this pocket there. We can tell that the jet stream's doing a little bit of a split here, so we see some of this activity coming in from the south, some of this obviously coming in through the north with that low, and then it all comes together here for the east. Typically, this would be a good snowfall pattern, but there's just not quite enough snow potential there, with the cold air being quite marginal, actually. We do have a low here over Minnesota, as you can see, bringing some snowfall, and then up and down the east coast and kind of the Gulf states, we do see a little bit of rainfall and snowfall there. Now, as we just continue things on, we see that there is some more low pressure developing over the northeast by the time we're reaching about February 22nd, which will be very, very early on Wednesday there. So some snowfall reaching into New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont there. A pretty isolated event, but definitely an event nevertheless. We do see by the time we're reaching about Wednesday afternoon here on the 22nd, this is when things start getting really crazy. So we have two very strong lows in pretty close proximity to each other here. One over Colorado is a 977, and then one over Missouri is a 996. Obviously, this one right here is much, much stronger. And this is leading towards extremely widespread snowfall, very heavy snowfall throughout all of the four corner states, as you can see, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Nebraska, and South Dakota, on top of all four of the four corner states. This is a very, very widespread snowfall event, and we can see it's a pretty broad low area because we have some more low pressure showing up to the west, and this is why we're seeing precipitation pretty much all throughout the west here. So this is a very, very extreme situation. Then we see this low on the eastern end of things, a little bit of a cold front, warm front look, and this could bring potential severe weather here on the southern end of things. Certainly a very, very interesting setup, and by the time we reach about very early on Thursday, we see this becomes a very flat system. So we have these two lows sitting right here, just these areas here, and to the north of these we see snowfall. In between we see the pink, and then underneath we see obviously rainfall there. That seems to be the type of system we're going to be seeing Thursday for a lot of these areas, and clearly the jet stream is doing something like this. So we're seeing the southeast ridge still influence areas in the east. This has been the theme all winter long, as we've mentioned multiple times. And this continues to be the trend even as we reach into about the 27th, 28th, although we see a stronger low moving into the eastern United States. Again, more potential snowfall here for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Definitely becoming more and more possible for snowfall here in the east versus what we've seen all winter long, so that is very interesting. Now, the total precipitation, as we're just going to actually bring this all the way through here, I don't know why it wasn't set up in the first place. We can see there's quite a bit of precipitation expected here for the Ohio Valley, Upper Midwest, Great Lakes, Northeast, areas like that. But out west seems to be taking the crown this time around because there's more expected out west than in the east for the first time in probably about a month. So it seems like the tides are officially turning where that activity is mostly going to be out west again for maybe the remainder of the wintertime. Now the total snowfall here as we'll take a look at this. As you can see, that bubble in the east is not going to let up anytime soon. This area is going to be too warm for snowfall, it appears. But areas in the northeast could see their first bits of snowfall this winter. Definitely going to be seeing more snowfall over the next 10 days, it appears, than the whole winter before it, really, for a lot of these areas. The upper Midwest expecting a lot, Great Lakes expecting a lot, and then even over the kind of plains just to the east of the Rockies. And then certainly the mountainous west is going to get absolutely buried in snow. All of these areas expecting feet and feet of snowfall in those mountaintops. So certainly a very, very snowy pattern upcoming for them. Now, as we just move through with this, we can tell that the GFS model, we're going to just take this all the way to the 27th, 28th. We get a very similar low to what the European model showed. But this eventually comes off the east coast. We see heavier snowfall for the northeast. And especially once this gets offshore, it becomes a very major snowstorm for areas in New England. And then it comes to an end by the time we're reaching late on the 28th, early on in the 1st. And we see a very dramatic trough here taking place in the east to probably extremely cold temperatures for a lot of these areas, especially the further north you go, obviously. Very, very interesting situation. We even see a bit of a more minor snowstorm take place somewhere in here, right around there on the 6th here, as you can see, for areas of the southern mid-Atlantic, kind of northern southeast as well. Very interesting run here from the GFS model, and as we take a look at the total snowfall here, we can tell that there's a bit more expected in this northeast mid-Atlantic corridor than your European model. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, the upcoming temperature pattern, just to briefly walk you guys through it, is expected to be warm, warm, warm until right around that 25th time frame. We get more cold, and then the warmth pushes back again in the east. All the meanwhile, I'm not even going to mention it because it's just constant, but there is cold out west, as you can see, for pretty much a majority of this entire model run. By the time we're reaching about the 1st of March here, we see a big cool down enters into the east, and these models have been showing this for multiple days in a row now, so we are feeling quite confident in that beginning of March portion time frame being colder. And then it trends a little bit colder as we reach the 6th as well. So definitely some colder times ahead than what we've been dealing with. But as we approach into March, your average temperature is going to be going up as we approach the springtime. Meteorological spring obviously starts on March 1st. Definitely going to be warming overall, so our potential is dying down for cold and snow. So if it's going to happen, it needs to really happen in this late portion of February, early portion of March. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.